I got my tea in here. I got yerba tea today. I'm just chilling. And hey, everybody, welcome to Indie Quest, a celebration of the indie and obscure. My name is Josh. I'm joined by a couple of cool dudes, one of them being Steve. How are you today?
Doing fantastic, buddy. I'm feeling the real dawn of the final day energy when it comes to Game of the Year preparation, but it's a good problem to have. It just means I'm playing a lot of fun video games.
Same here. And I'm also joined by the captain himself, Captain Drachma. How's it going, Seth?
Great. I am also feeling it. But I have kind of categorized things a little bit, which I think we all start to do at this time, right? Games that I've purchased over time. I've got a few games that I really want to wrap up. Like, I think I'm close on one or two different games that want to hit and get finished before our next episode, of course. And fortunately, we have about 2 weeks to do it. So we're here. And this is truly my favorite time of the year for this podcast. Like, it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, I think it's my favorite as a participant in this podcast, and then also just listening to everybody else's Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah,
it's just fun. You know, it's just time to explore and find out that game maybe you didn't hear about, or just hear something awesome about a game you really enjoyed as well, or whatever. You know, or like, damn, I can't believe I missed that game this year. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a time of year that just lines up very well with the ethos of this podcast, right? Like, we bring games that we like and we celebrate them, and now is the time of year where everybody is like looking back fondly and telling stories about things they love and like figuring out, you know, what hit with them the hardest. It's just really fun because it's a very positive season. It's very celebratory.
Yeah. I just finished Seth, we talked a little bit before, but I just finished Promise Mascot Agency. That's my second opinion is that's a main quest with a bullet. Probably the most creative open world game I've maybe ever played. It's just so unique, and it's a cozy game too, and it has a nice story, a really well thought out story, and just a lot of fun and wacky characters, and just insane things happen, and it's just a lot of fun. And every little thing that you pick up, and the little upgrades for your truck, just anything like that, just brings a smile to your face, and it's just a really fun game. So yeah, I'm glad I played that. I'm glad you brought it to the show, because I probably wouldn't have if you didn't play it and sing its praises, you know?
yeah, it is for people who enjoy checklist gaming. It is crack. Like,
It is.
Guys, you gotta stop. You're killing me.
Oh yeah, so my plan for the rest of the next couple weeks is I just started Pipistrello, The Curse of the Yo-Yo, because I figured one of us should probably play that. Enjoying it so far. Gives very Game Boy Advance energy. And then I want to play Citizen Super 2. That's definitely going to happen. And anything after that is honestly just bonus credit for me at this point, because that's going to be pretty much going to take up the next 2 weeks, you know. So
yeah, totally.
I did want to touch. I was trying to remember the name of the game. Sectori, like Geometry Wars type game. But I don't know if I'll even have time to like touch it more than 30 minutes or an hour or something, or even play it at all, because it's just too much. But in a good way.
I've heard good things. I've had people DM me being like, "Man, this is a game that you should check out." So yeah, I'd say Sectori, Promise Mascot Agency, or Skate Story are probably like the three highest that I wish I could find the time for. I'm doing my stream in a week here, less than that by the time this actually goes live. So I only have time for maybe one more game in totality, but there's just so many more I want to play. Like, I played like 3-4 hours of The Seance of Blake Manor. That game absolutely rules, but it's like a 30-hour game. I just don't have time to get to it by the end of the year, but it's one for sure I'll play next year because it's so freaking good.
It's like a good January, like kick your feet up. It's like a snowy outside, I can't go anywhere type of game. It seems like to me, at least. Yeah,
and it's like you got to be locked in on that game. You got to be paying attention. So it's not one that you can kind of like churn and burn through in like a December cleanup run while you're listening to some Game of the Year podcasts or something. It's like headphones on, staring at the monitor, you know, beads of sweat running down your face as you think harder than you ever have in your life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I I'm just to rewind back to Sectori. I heard that there's a mode in it called Gates, and it's basically pacifism mode from Geometry Wars.
Yes.
And I'm like, you guys, my buddies, when I first played that, we had a competition going back and forth trying to outdo each other in pacifism mode. I feel like that was like a trend when Geometry Wars 2 came out during that time frame. But yeah, that's crack for me too. So I'm just in there just trying to get a little bit better at that. So, but anyway, speaking of great games, the Game Awards happened. We don't have to talk about like the awards or anything like that. I just wanted to know if there was any indie games like trailers or any announcements that stuck out to you guys. We also had Day of the Devs and Wholesome Games and a couple other things too. Anything that just pops off the screen for you that you're excited for next year?
Yeah, I can start here. So I picked some goofy ones compared to what I think I typically gravitate towards. But this one caught my eye, and I think I'll actually end up playing it. And even though I don't typically play this type of game, I think that a lot of the elements will be cool and I will enjoy. And that's Dogpile. I don't know if you guys remember seeing Dogpile. It's like that very cartoony puzzle game. It's like a brick block dropper type Tetris Attack type game, except for with dogs. And when you hit two of the same breed of dog hit together, then they create a bigger dog. I don't exactly know how all like the roguelite part of it will work, but I've always been a huge dog lover. And I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, everybody loves dogs. Like, that's very true. But when I was a kid, like 10, I had multiple dog books of like the breeds of dogs, right? I was super into them when I was a kid, and I still am. I very much enjoy watching dog shows and things like that. So, seeing something like this where it's specific, like, hey, we have different breeds of dogs that you can combine together, I think that's cool, and it's right up my alley. So I will definitely check that one out.
Yeah, I know my partner tried the demo and liked it, and then bought the game already. I think it just came out. Like, it came out as it was announced, so I think it's already out. Maybe early access.
Oh, okay, cool.
But might be like a, like early access for 6 months as we improve things. I'm not sure,
right.
But yeah. Steve, you got one for us here?
Yeah, probably the most. So I didn't actually have a chance to watch all of the Game Awards. I was at a Winter Lights installation, but I caught the tail end of it. I think I stepped in when what I believe was Evanescence was playing a show. I caught from there to the end, but going back and looking at the games that were announced, probably the most exciting for me is Order of the Sinking Star, the new Jonathan Blow game. And it's a little bit of an interesting reveal because, one, Jonathan Blow's been developing this game in open air for many years now. If you ever catch any of his Twitch streams, he's been publicly working on the game forever. So it's not like this is finally getting to see what he's doing, but it was kind of a first polished trailer, at least that I've ever seen for it. And then I always feel a little conflicted because I just don't love Jonathan Blow as a dude. He makes incredible games, but I just got a feeling that he and I wouldn't have a lot of good dinner conversation. Not really my vibe. But the game itself seems really interesting. It's like a Sokoban puzzler, block pusher, but the idea seems to be that you're building, all the puzzles build into, and you can manipulate them into creating a large overworld. So puzzles become components of larger puzzles, become components of larger puzzles, become the way that you navigate around this open world. And I think, after The Witness, certainly, there's a little bit of an expectation or a hope maybe that there's going to be a little special sauce to this game that maybe we don't quite know yet. He seems to be the type of guy that wants to develop around a core thesis, which gets me excited. But I can't deny the man makes a tasty puzzler. He's 2 for 2 on puzzle games, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out. I think it's supposed to be 2026. I don't remember if they gave it a proper year, but I think it's just next year sometime.
Yeah, it's just next year. Also, there was an interview after the fact that he said the game was over 250 hours long if you do all of the secrets, so there's going to be a campaign that's 20 20 hours or something, and then there's just going to be layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. It's a Steve game for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I will be there for sure, ready to play that one in 2026. What about you, Josh? What's tickling your griddle?
I have two. There's maybe somebody else will bring the other one up. Let's start with Orbitals. Have you guys seen Orbitals at all?
It's like news to me.
It's an anime. It's very 80s anime like art design.
Oh.
And it's haze-like. Haze-like. Yeah, get it? Haze-like. Okay, anyway. It's a split-screen game that you play couch co-op, and you have two characters, and it's like a space sci-fi anime-themed thing with a bunch of puzzles and action that you have to like communicate and do things together co-op. And me and my partner just eat those up and love that type of thing. So really excited. I think the actual just art design and the music playing in the trailer is just a vibe, and it hits that 80s anime just perfectly. And it has a little bit of that VHS like softness to it too, which I really love. I just think it just kind of pops off the screen, and it's one I'm have my eyes on for next year for sure. Yeah,
this game looks sick as heck. I had not seen this until now. Love the art style of it. It's got there's a game I played back on PS3 that I'm struggling to come up with the name of. I'll mention it if it comes to me. But it's got this like almost it's like not cell shaded. It's like actual like hand drawn, but kind of stuttery animation as the character runs around. It's very cool.
Is it maybe you're thinking Demon Turf, something like that?
It's kind of adjacent to Demon Turf, but a little in my brain. It's a little choppier,
right?
But all the same, it looks great. Yeah, and just the general flow and the environments and stuff all look super fun. Plus, the world needs more co-op games. Yeah. We just need more of these to play. So
yeah, podcast. I think it was Kind of Funny or one of those gaming podcasts I listened to said haze-like, because it's haze-like.
Oh,
and that just got stuck in my head, and that's why I said it like that. And I'm like, no, it's not. We don't need more genre names. We're good. It's just a split-screen co-op game. We're good. Yeah. Especially with like in the title, because that's pretty much every genre now, So anyway, Seth, you got anything else for us today?
Yeah, if I can get back, because I'm looking up all this stuff because you guys are talking about all this different stuff, so now I got to go back to my list. And yes,
you got to get your wish list going, as you're talking,
yes.
Right?
You'll have to remind me, Josh, of what the game is that this game is like, because I can't remember. Oh, I just did, of course, as we're talking, but I don't know if you guys saw Unshine Arcade, but it reminds me of Clover Pit. In that, it's like that horror adjacent. You walk into this creepy room, except for in this game, you're playing an actual arcade cab, which is cool. And it seems like you get tickets, and it's a roguelite, similar to Clover Pit. I imagine you have a threat of death at all times if you don't get enough tickets and stuff like that. But ever since I've not played Clover Pit myself, but ever since I watched Josh play it for our charity stream for Polymedia Network, I have very much been interested in that style of game, so this is attractive in that way.
Yeah, it's kind of like I still haven't played Inscription, but it feels like it has Inscription energy too, where there's a bunch of stuff going on in the background, which I don't know. Okay, I'll just tell you guys, Inscription is on my list of like, hey, if I have time during my vacation, I need to fit this one in if I can, because I wanted to do it by the end of the year and beat that game and say, hey, I did it, so. Yeah.
And be able to put it on your best of not 2025 list.
Yeah.
That would
it might get there. You never know.
That would be 3 years in a row. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I wanted to give it a chance to be give it that opportunity. So we'll see if I can get it in. Anyway, but yeah, it looks like it has some meta stuff going on in the background between there's like a crane game and an arcade game and stuff. It looks cool.
Yes, it does.
Heck yeah. Very cool. The other one for me that got me excited, people probably won't be too surprised by this, and then maybe, Josh, this might be one that you brought too, Bradley the Badger.
Yeah,
have
I
that
had
on your
this one
list?
here. I was going to say that I had that one and a different one. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
It's just, I mean, I'm always here for another 3D platformer and a game that, like, proudly from the chest kind of proclaims to be modern PS2 energy. But then, of course, the game also has this sort of, like, combination of other game worlds and, like, game design principles element to it, which seems cool. So it's for the folks that don't know, it's a mascot platformer, but, like, it takes place in all manner of different environments. You're like running around in like Souls-like-y Bloodborne type areas that look like they're from Nier Automata, and all sorts of other stuff. And I think that the hook of the game is that you are kind of like experiencing those places as game worlds proper, and you either gain or have the ability to eventually manipulate the world using kind of game designy tools. So it's a little bit of like build the game as you go, or like fix the game as you go, but also at the same time a 3D action platformer, which is already a genre I love. So yeah, as long as the humor sticks to landing, the idea seems very fun, and it's an interesting twist on that genre. So it's one that I'll absolutely check out.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
Go ahead.
This is one that is extremely ambitious, and you just hope they stick the landing.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it has so much potential, but we've seen how many games try to do things like this in the past where they just have a lot of ideas and none of them ever come to fruition, so hopefully it does. I feel like, based on what I'm watching, what I'm seeing, I feel like this is not the same type of experience or type of game, but this is like what Ruffy and the Riverside wanted to do, right? It wanted to be like, and then it just didn't quite land for a lot of people. But yeah, this one looks cool.
Yeah, and it's what's awesome, it has that amazing art style, that cel shaded look, and 3D platform vibes, and it's the OST is Grant Kirkhope, so that's even awesome, more awesome.
Yeah.
So basically just add a little bit more flourish on top of that already like exciting package there, so put the bow on there, I guess, as it were. But I have one more myself called Stretchmancer. Still haven't read it out loud. That's the first time I ever said it out loud. But it is a first-person puzzle game that has a unique thing like Superliminal or Manifold Garden or something. But in this game, it's very cartoony looking. It's very like I guess that's kind of maybe a theme for the games that got announced, because all these have like a cartoony sheen to them that we're mentioning. But basically the environments stretch and squash and move and are like jello that you can manipulate with your hands, and puzzles ensue based on that premise. So I love a first person game that has a unique idea, and sometimes they don't hit quite as much, like Viewmancer. Like, that's a really cool game, maybe didn't hit 100% for me, but it was still a cool idea and I enjoyed playing it. So I'm always curious to see what people do with like the first person view in a puzzle game like this. So looks cool.
It does look really cool.
Yes.
I very much like I've never played a lot of these games myself, but I like having you guys have brought games similar to this, like you were saying, Viewfinder, Josh. And I enjoy that they keep finding different ways to do it differently, right? Like, last time with Viewfinder, we made it so that objects, like, you have to move back, and you can like shift the view, and that makes it so you can, like, create a bridge or whatever. And this one's like we actually can make the environment change, which is really cool. So
yeah, every 5 or 6 months I just kind of get the appetite to play another one of these. So I'm always glad that there's just another cool one available to me when the time comes.
Yeah, and it's like they're showing like, oh, you're picking up a block. You can't quite fit this tall block through this hallway, and you stretch it upwards with your other hand and you push the block through, and it's like, let's do that, but change up the formula every 2 stages or whatever. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I just know by the looks of it, it's gonna be a good game. So yeah. All right. Well, there's some highlights. It was I always enjoy watching the Game Awards. I feel like a lot of people like to hate on them, be very cynical. I mean, there's reasons to, because it really is a big commercial. But I have a good time watching them and making an event out of it. It's always a fun time this time of year. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep. In absence of another show. I mean, there are other great shows like Data Devs and Cozy Games and stuff like that, but one at the scale of kind of what formerly was E3, I'll check it out when I can.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, speaking of things as big as E3, our Game of the Years is coming up next episode. That's the biggest event of the season, so, strap in, buckle in, people. I mentioned it a couple times last episode. I'll probably mention it here and at the end as well. We do have our survey. We have close to 20 people who have submitted. So hopefully we can get that number up a little bit more. The more submissions we get on that survey, the more fun the community topics will be on that episode. So submit those. You don't even have to play a game for 2025 if you don't have anything. Just put none or NA, whatever. And there's 3 questions. It's what's your favorite indie game from this year? What's your favorite indie game that's not from this year that you played this year? And then what's your favorite Indie Quest moment? So it's 3 questions. Bust it out in 2 minutes. Doesn't have to be super detailed or anything like that. But yeah, the form's in the description below. So check that out, and then we'll read the submissions and have a discussion during our, I'm sure, pretty jam-packed episode in 2 weeks here. So yeah.
Heck yeah. And if you don't find it in the show notes, it's also, we posted it out on IndieQuest Pod on Blue Sky. You can go find it there as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a thing we do on this show, and we're going to keep on doing it. We bring games to our ever-growing indie game recommendation list called the Quest Log, which has 2 sections to it. The main quest, which is an easy recommendation, a certified banger. It goes, above and beyond. It's that masterpiece. It's that game you can recommend to your mom, dad, or your pet iguana, which I feel like I always go with pet iguana now. But check that game out. It's amazing. It deserves all the accolades it gets. It's probably one of the best games of the year. Side quest, it's still a recommendation. There might be a caveat or two. It might be a little bit niche. It might be one of those 8 out of 10s, but it's still going to be a recommendation, and we still think that you should play it. So who wants to bring their pick first today?
I can go. If no one else wants to go first. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So I've been prepping this joke, and I've just ruined that it was a joke, but since I started playing this game. And it's good because you mentioned, Josh, that you were playing and had finished Promise Mascot Agency. The strangest thing about the game that I played for this episode is that somehow, if I had $1 for every game that I played this year where I drove a K truck, I'd have $2. And it's wild that I did it twice, right?
Yep.
I played a game called Easy Delivery Company. Have you guys heard of Easy Delivery Company? I imagine Josh has, because this feels like a game that Josh would have heard of or seen. But maybe
I've
not.
heard of it, and I hovered on the possible purchase because I just like the look of it.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
so it's. I'm curious what you have to say about this one because it has a look and a vibe for sure.
For anyone out there that's Googling, it's Easy Delivery Co. Stands for company, I assume, but that's if you're Googling. It's not actually, it doesn't actually say company, but yeah. So, what is Easy Delivery Co. or company? It is a very different kind of game that I think I've ever played before, which is a big reason why I wanted to play it. Like Josh, I also very much like the look of this game. I mentioned last time that I had several different games kind of sitting on the shelf that were snowy or wintry adjacent, right? And this is one of them where all you do, you're constantly in this mountainous terrain, right? Where it's always snowing, snow everywhere, just perfect for the time that we're in currently, where I look out my window and it's snowing. I'm looking at my screen and it's snowing. So it's just a cozy game like that. But before we get into all of that and what this game looks like specifically, this game was released this year, September 18th, and was developed by Sam C. just the name Sam and capital C. Very, I guess. I don't know exactly. I don't know why you'd go by just your name, but this person decided to do that. And hopefully, I have not really looked into what else Sam would have developed, but this is certainly a good step forward. I will say it's on the quest log after all. Platform as of now, I believe, is only PC and Mac, but this feels like a game that could absolutely come to Switch someday or PlayStation. It would feel good on console, honestly. So, genre: it is a survival driving game with fetch quests. Right, that's most of what you're doing is kind of like going back and forth between different places because it serves a need. There's a necessity to do that, and we'll get into that in some of the gameplay. But the whole survival / driving experience is just weird. Like, it's not a genre mashup that I think that I've ever experienced in a game ever. Where the majority of the game, all you're really doing is driving this K-truck, oftentimes loaded with cargo, going to different places. But you also have several meters that you have to manage as you play to make sure that you don't die, basically. So it's just strange. It's just weird. Usually in a driving game, I mean, yes, okay, so there are like the Gran Turismos of the world that are like extremely simulation-focused driving games where, you know, you might have a race where you drive for an hour and you have to, you know, go to a pit stop and actually fuel up and stuff. But in terms of just like a cozy game, the fact that you have to worry about going to a gas station is just so weird. I mean, Promise Mascot Agency could never. You never have to do anything like that in that game, right? Like where you have to manage. You are managing, but
lots of
you're
things,
not worried.
but not your vehicle itself, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and not making sure you don't pass out randomly and stuff like that. So we'll get into more of that as we go. But you guys are looking at screenshots. This is a very good-looking game. It has a PS1 style, I would say. It's like that era 3D, but also has a fog effect, which I think that they call like snow, right? It's always snowing pretty much, so there's always some haze, some fog in the distance that very much reminds me of N64 and the Silent Hill type thing.
I was gonna say, in the screenshots that don't feature any of the characters, you could have told me that this is like a mod to Silent Hill 1 or something.
Yes.
Because it's like very believably PS1 like fog effects, but also I don't know if you're going into this or what the deal is, but like it feels a little sinister. Like it feels a little not scary, but like I wouldn't want the sun to go down.
Yes. So we'll go into it now. We're close enough to story time, I suppose. There is some sinister things that are happening in this game. I'm not going to spoil most of that. And to be completely honest, even after finishing this game, there are multiple endings, which is cool. Even after finishing this game, I don't know that I can tell you definitively what exactly is going on here. But I do know that there are reasons why you drive this truck constantly. There are also reasons, if you guys look at enough screenshots or watch a trailer, you literally never see anyone on the road. It's just you all the time.
Yeah.
You would think in a lot of driving games, you know, in the Grand Theft Autos of the world, there's cars all over the place while you're driving, right? In this game, there aren't. You just drive. It seemingly you're the only person delivering anything ever. You're the only person driving anywhere. It's very weird. Also, the NPCs, the more you talk to them, so there are different NPCs that run the different businesses in town. Like there's Easy Eats, and almost everything starts with Easy because it's Easy Delivery Company, and you kind of find out that there's like this corporation that kind of seems to be running certain things, and it's, you know, that's part of the whole conspiracy of it all, I suppose. But various different organizations that are running different parts of this town, I guess multiple towns, because they kind of, you can go between different maps, which is really cool. But yeah, all the people say some weird stuff. They have different dialogue. For me, this game, it does a thing where it's like, usually when we play video games, we come to expect that certain video gamey things are going to happen. And it's almost like this game is like extremely self-aware of that type of stuff. And it makes you feel like rather than playing a video game, it's putting you into a situation. And it's like, no, yes, you are playing a game, but we know you're playing this game, and we're going to make sure you understand that everything in this world understands things differently than what you do. And we're only going to drip feed you this information. It's very cryptic in a lot of ways, to the point where we'll get into music right now, and I'm going to bounce back to presentation because there's one specific thing that I didn't love about this game that I want to chat about. But for the music, for well over half the game, I didn't really understand when certain music would play. I didn't understand why. Like, sometimes I'd be like, oh, that's a really good song. And then it would change, and it would just be like static. Like, why is that happening? Well, after I had gotten so far into the game, you find out there's radio towers all over the place, and you have to activate them. And that makes it so that the music actually plays on your radio in your truck much more clearly when you're near them. But also, it doesn't tell you anything. I could actually use my D-pad to change the radio station. I didn't even know. I just accidentally clicked it one time. I'm like, what the heck just happened? And then I see that there's like a radio station thing popping up in the bottom right corner. And I can like scan through a whole bunch of channels. I'm hearing music that I'd never heard before. But each station has its own, it seems like, set of 3 or 4 songs that will play, and then they'll go to the next one, then the next one. When you get out of the truck, the music doesn't continue. If you get close to the truck, you can hear it faintly, like you would in real life. But if you walk further away, it dies off, obviously, because it's in the truck. So very cool in that way, right? It's very much trying to get you into that. You're a delivery driver. We're going to make you feel like a delivery driver, right? So back to the presentation, back to the way this game looks. Looks fantastic, as I've already said. I have one major gripe, and I think that this was intentional on the devs' part, so I'm going to be as soft as I possibly can about this point, but there is a day-night cycle in this game. There's like a whole sub-story about the fact that you never really stop delivering stuff. You're always driving. Like, you never sleep. You don't need sleep. There's a reason for that. So you drink energy drinks that keep your energy meter up. And as long as you continue to drink energy drinks, that energy meter goes back up. You can continue to drive and make deliveries, and that's your job. But because of that, when it gets to around 6 p.m. at night, it starts to get dark. And it gets incredibly hard to see, especially if you're playing this game in light, like when it's daytime in real life. Because any little bit of glare is like, I'm like cocking my head and like trying to see what's going on and not run into stuff. So this became a game that I would actively wait until the sun goes down in real life to play, so that I could actually see what was going on screen. Now, if it's daytime, I could play it easy. But when it was night, man, if there's any natural light in a room, I just couldn't see anything. And I've never had that problem with any other game with this monitor. So I think it is extremely intentional that it is that dark for different story aspects of this game. And like I said, I don't want to spoil a lot of that stuff. But I kept looking at options and like, can I like stop that? Just turn that off. Make it so it's day all the time, or make the screen brighter so I can at least see. And I didn't find anything. Perhaps I'm just stupid and somebody can shout at me that's also played this game, or the dev themselves, if they somehow listen to this, that, you know, there's some option I could have clicked or something. But that was a little bit of a nuisance, I suppose, while playing through this game. With all that, I will be moving into kind of what we've already talked about and what you're doing in this game. Do you guys have any questions before I get there?
Not so far. I'm curious to hear about the actual minute-to-minute
Yeah.
gameplay because I see a lot of bobbing and bouncing objects in this truck.
Yes. So your primary goal is to accept a delivery mission, basically a delivery task job. You actually end up getting a mini map, right? And it will tell you the coordinates of where you pick up the package or goods. There's pizzas, there's plants, there's like flour bags, seemingly. There's just regular old boxes. You will go and pick that thing up, and then it will tell you where you have to deliver it to on the map. The most interesting thing about this game, and honestly I think that this will appeal to a lot of people, and it did kind of appeal to me initially because it's just not something that video games do anymore, I don't feel like. It's a very retro, archaic way of going about like a mapping system like this. So it tells you where the stuff is, but on the map it doesn't actually show where you are. So you have to, as in real life, it's almost like it's 1987 and all you have is your atlas. You know what town you're going to. So I can see that on the map, and I have a rough idea of where I am. But in general, I know that I need to go to that town, and I need to follow street signs to get there. And that's what this game does. It has street signs all over the place, and you're like, okay, I know I need to go to Weston. So I eventually get to a crossroads, and it says on the street sign, okay, Weston, turn left, Easton, turn right, right? And those are the only two directions I can go. And then I look at my map, I pull up my map, and I can figure out where I am based on these crossroads, right? And that is... Truly, I probably don't have to look at the map. Like I could just, like, I need to go to Weston. I know I need to go to Weston. Just follow the path, and eventually I'll kind of get in Weston. Then I can look at the map and figure out general coordinates. But it is really cool that I can kind of put what is in front of me on the ground, the road, and correlate that with what the map is telling me. And it could have been easy. It would have been super easy for them to just be like, okay, here's a little marker, and that's where you are. But obviously, like a lot of the things in this game, extremely intentional that it makes you feel lost a lot of times. And you have to, especially at the beginning of this game, the first hour, I'm like, they're really not going to give me like a GPS? Nothing? I'm flying almost blind other than this map. But then as you continue to play, you start to feel a little bit more in your own environment. It becomes your neighborhood, right? It's like I don't need a map to drive around my town because I know my town. I've driven around it a million times. Eventually, after several hours of playing this game, you don't really need to look at the map anymore. You kind of just know where you're going, which is kind of super cool. Like I very much enjoy it. It's not a huge game anyway. You start in what's called Mountain Town, and eventually you unlock a couple different other areas. 3 main areas in total that you can like pick deliveries up in and deliver to other. Like you can pick a delivery up in the Snowy Peaks and have to deliver it in Mountain Town, right? And you're going to get more money for going to different maps. But there's also local, they call them local deliveries, where you might pick up something within Mountain Town itself and then deliver it across Mountain Town, where you're not going to get as much money because you're not going as far. But that's like the general minute-to-minute gameplay is you accept a job, you go pick up the packages, you drive to where you have to drop them off, you get out of the truck, you have to literally open your tailgate, you got to pick them up, you got to put them on the ground, and it pays you, right? And then you accept another job, and you do the same thing. And a lot of people, I assume, that play this game are going to find that loop very addictive. I also did. It was just like, $20, $25. Oh, if I don't spill anything, if I don't let anything fall out of the truck, I get an extra tip. So you kind of get more and more careful, I suppose, when you're driving. Steve was talking about how when you're driving, this truck ends up going pretty fast. And depending on the contents, you never really know what you're picking up. It just tells you how much it weighs. So sometimes you can get there and it's just a single flower pot. Sometimes you get there and it's 3 boxes specifically stacked on top of each other, which means if you hit a bump, they go up in the air and they all fall off. So there are different items that can secure them better, and it just becomes this delivery truck is my business, and I can invest back into my business to make more money in the long run by buying different tools and things that you can get at different shops and make it so that you're better off. You can also, I talked about the survival part of this game. There's an energy meter that you have to keep up because when you get out of the truck, it's very cold, it's snowy, and there is a really weird filter that comes on screen. It starts at the very edges and slowly comes in on you, and it's like it's freezing, right? It's slowly condensing and then freezing on top. So you're slowly freezing if you don't have high energy or if you're away from indoors for a long period of time. So you need to keep your energy up to freeze less fast, but then also make sure you're close to a source of warmth by either going into a building, staying in your truck. But this game does throw you loops where sometimes you have to, I talked about those radio towers. Eventually you get to a point where you have to find ways to turn different radio towers on, and sometimes the walk to them can be very far, and you're not allowed to take the truck. So you have to find a way to stay warm as you walk, and there's different tools that you can use to do that too. It gets kind of hectic sometimes to set things up to make sure you're good, and you can stand next to it and then continue on upstairs or wherever. So at the base of it all, it is a very basic experience, but it has a lot of unique nuance to what you're doing, I think, that I believe will appeal to a lot of people. Like I mentioned before, you also have to make sure you fuel up your truck when it starts to run low. There's just a lot of different menial things that in general most games like this that present itself as this cozy driving game, generally you don't have to worry about that stuff. It's just about driving around, having a good time. It is also about that in this game. It's just, it's mostly just a cathartic experience, but there is some tenseness. It makes you feel like you're in a little bit of a rush sometimes. It makes you feel like there's a time crunch, and that's, for me, it was pretty interesting. It kept it kind of upbeat, kept it so I wasn't lulling myself to sleep by just driving back and forth on the road that I've passed a million times, right? So,
yeah, I see why people call it a cozy game. This feels like a cozy game targeted pretty specifically to me, or like other, I guess, folks that live more north, because there is like a real energy to, like, right as the sun's gone down late at night, like heavy storm wind blowing with the headlights, and the snowflakes are blowing through the headlights, and you can barely see more than 6 feet in front of you, but you're traveling around familiar roads at the same time, so you basically know where you're going, so like the low visibility doesn't stress you out too much. Like, that is a feeling that I've never seen captured in a game before, and I can get it just from the trailers, which makes me think that I should probably play this like next October.
It is not, it isn't a horror game, certainly, and it's not even really all that spooky, but I think that it is spooky adjacent enough to warrant an October play. Like, there's weird stuff going on, and like it's not even as spooky as something like Garoon or something, but it is eerie, is what I'll say. It is eerie, is an eerie experience. And yeah, I mean, it's very enjoyable for what it is. It is super interesting, unique game that I think people should check out.
Yeah.
Because I was jumping around, I don't know that I ever talked about specifically the music. I know I talked about how you get to listen to it, but I don't think I talked about what it sounds like. So I'll do that right now. It is kind of like retro wave, synth wave type thing in a lot of ways. Kind of just that upbeat. There's some, you're bobbing your head as you're driving usually. There's a lot of different songs that you can listen to. To be completely honest with you, I doubt that I even heard them all, because it seems like there's a little bit of a random element to it, just like it would be on the radio when I'm driving down the road in real life. Sometimes you're not going to hear a certain song you wish you could, but it's whatever's on 99.9. That's what you get that day, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I very much enjoyed the music. I'm going to have to look it up to see if it's on YouTube, because I I enjoyed it enough to want to give it a listen outside of the game. But yeah, any other questions or any other thoughts before I put it on the quest log?
I just wanted to mention that I think it's becoming evident that obviously this game is inspired by many other games, but I think that like surviving the elements, like delivery games, and like where the challenge is traversal is becoming like a trend in the industry, especially indie space. And I honestly think it started with Death Stranding. I think a lot of people are getting that just... What can I like? They played Death Stranding, and then there's some crazy, unique mechanics in that. And I feel like that is kind of like showing up in different ways in like little indie games, including like baby steps in this, and like just like what can we do with traversal and make traversal unique and interesting. And I just love seeing that. That I don't know if that's the main. Obviously, that's not the main inspiration, but there's some of that element here where it's like you're the lone delivery guy in this like bleak world, and you got to get the deliveries in. There's some physics weirdness to it, you know. I just feel like it has some of that inspiration. It's pretty cool.
It's funny you say that, Josh, because I was reading some reviews on Steam, and I have not played Death Stranding, but there were people who compared this to Death Stranding. It's like, oh, what if you wanted to drive around a truck and it feels like Death Stranding, except for you're a little cat dude. Like, so yeah,
Animal Crossing guy or something, right?
Yeah. I didn't mention the characters are all animals for some reason. They look like Animal Crossing, like PS1 Animal Crossing guys. You don't really know why, but
what was that fishing game that came out a year or two ago?
Web fishing? Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that too. Yeah,
yes,
like similar art style. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's a good touch point there. It reminds me a lot of that game, actually. But yeah,
I mean, this is becoming like a cliche for me / us to say, but I'll just throw it out again that there's just too many games in the world. There's too many cool games. Again, here is a game that like seems extremely fun to me and has like rave review, like 3,500 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, just like tremendously popular. Never even heard of it. Like,
yeah.
What? And I have 2 gaming podcasts. Like, one man just can't keep up.
It's wild, man. I know. I don't even remember how I stumbled. I assume it was one of those times that I was just looking around on Steam. It just happened upon it. You know, sometimes I suggest anyone out there, and it's like the ultimate time waster. So maybe don't, because half the time when I do this for an hour, I don't find anything interesting. But it is very fun to just go through Steam games and just scroll and scroll and scroll. I suppose it's better based on what we do than scrolling on my phone, right? So
yeah,
you do find some diamonds in the rough doing that, though, just scrolling through Steam, because games like this and a lot of other games are only on PC, so you're never going to see them anywhere else unless you hear about them on a podcast. So, but yeah, that is Easy Delivery Company. Very cool, very unique, very fun game. For me, I am going to put it on the side quest. I feel as if it is a very side questy type game. Really, most of what you're doing feels like a side quest, like an actual video game side quest, where most of the time in games a side quest is, oh, I need to go pick something up and I need to go take it somewhere else. Well, that's literally all you do in this game. So it feels like side quest the game in a lot of ways. But it has a lot of uniqueness to it that really made me think hard. I would say it's a higher end side quest than maybe some of the others that are on the list. And I could absolutely see people out there putting this on the main quest. But I've also seen people, in going through some different reviews and in seeing some different opinions of this game, I've also seen some people be like, this is truly the most boring game I've ever played. And I understand that could be the case for some, because outside of, there are some like very main type things that you have to do. Generally, what you have to do is you have to do a bunch of deliveries, make a bunch of money, and then buy an item so you can then access another area, right? That is this game. And then you do a bunch of deliveries again. You just rinse and repeat, do it for a long time. See new things, jump over hills of snow. right? That's kind of what you're doing. And to some people, it's like, okay, this is monotonous. This is samey. I've done this before. I don't want to keep doing this forever. I feel that this is the perfect game to wind down to at night. A lot because you have to play it at night, in my opinion, but also because this is not the type of game that I would ever recommend playing for 6 to 7 hours straight, whatever the runtime is. It feels much better to jump in for an hour, play until you've had your fill, and then move on and play something else. This is not a sit down and run through the entire game. So with all that, yes, Easy Delivery Company is a side quest game, but I do still highly recommend it if it sounds at all interesting to anyone out there.
Yeah, man. It looks incredible. Thank you for bringing it. It is on my wish list now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I surprisingly didn't have it on mine, so now it's on mine.
Josh, it is
One of the
so
only
hard.
Steam games not on your wish list.
It is so hard to find games. I'm trying to think of who out of my friends. I think Johnny. It was on Johnny's wish list, maybe our buddy Johnny from the Discord. But yeah, not a whole lot of people actually had this on their wish list or owned it. They were on my friends list, which is interesting for a game that, like Steve said, has 3,500 positive reviews, which is it's cool.
It's cute that Johnny would have it on his wish list when he knows he'll never play it. He knows what he's going to do. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did go and do a prune in my wish list like sometime this year, probably 5-6 months ago. Got it down to like 200-300 games. It's back up to 669.
Oh,
I don't know what's
Jesus.
wrong with me. Like I just keep adding. But the thing is like I like it. To me, I think it helps my ADHD brain a little bit because there's so many games coming out, especially now. My phone will ping me when a new game comes out on Steam that I have on my wish list. So it's like, oh yeah, this game's out now. So let's throw that in the cart and get buy it, so I don't forget about it or whatever, or maybe get it on PlayStation or whatever, But yeah, it's a nice tool.
It is. It's great for new releases, but also amazing for letting you know what's on sale. That's my favorite thing about it. Like, I so much of what's on my wish list, and this is a tangent, but we're here. So much of what's on my wish list is like that seems like a really good game, but not for $20. Oh, it's 15 now. Buy. That is that's what I use my wish list for. So.
Yeah. See, I got to be careful with that because anytime one of those, Steam summer sale or whatever rolls around, I always inevitably hit the wish list and I sort price low to high and I start just adding every game that's like sub $5 to the cart. And if my wish list if I'm doing frickin' Josh Leslie numbers, and I'm gonna have 200 games that are sub $5 and suddenly I check out and my cart's $1,000.
Yeah,
like, what happened?
It's dangerous. Yeah,
it is.
It's dangerous.
What's going on?
Is. Yep. Oh. Well, Steve,
Awesome.
Do you want to go first? I could go now if you want to close this out today.
I can close this out. Yeah, I'm curious to hear about yours because spoilers. I know what it is.
Me too.
Some people in the Discord did too because I didn't kind of tease it. I teased that I was going to bring this game. So, bring the game from this year. Just came out. A week ago or less.
Yep.
Like 6 days ago. Skate Story. It's a Devolver Digital game, so it's eventually going to make its way here. This is by a solo dev named Sam Eng, E-N-G, and his developer name in here is just by Sam Eng, so that's nice. I did look into this developer. He has one other game he made called Zarvot, and it's like I never had heard about it until I looked into it. It's like a cozy game about squares, or a cozy co-op game about squares. I don't know much about that one, but we all know Skate Story, I think, especially if you follow indie games. This game has been talked about for years, and it's finally out. Has a very striking art style. Have you guys, you probably heard of it, but have you guys any interest in playing this?
Yes, I will for sure play this game, whether it's very soon or just in the nebulous near future, but absolutely I will get around to this one. It looks awesome.
I have a passing interest that becomes higher on the scale of things that I may play because it's on PS Plus, and you might have maybe we're going to get to mentioning where it can be found, but when a game is on a free server, not free. That's where they get you. It's not free, but I paid for it once, and so now I can play this game for free. So certainly we'll check it out. And I mentioned before we started recording that my stepson actually was playing it a little bit this morning, and I'm like, that's a cool looking game. So
yeah. It's on Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and PC, of course. I played it on PlayStation because it is the PS Plus extra for this month. I don't know if it's on the catalog or if it's a monthly thing, but if you have PS Plus, I would go claim that just to be safe if you want to play it. Let's talk about the presentation. One of the most easily giftable games out there. Just gorgeous skating energy, neon lights. You play as this glass demon skater, unnamed. They just call him like the glass skater in the game. And there is just the trippiest visuals you've ever seen in your entire life. Every time you see this, you're like, is this like Skate, like the EA game Skate, but like twisted? And that's kind of what this game is. The art style is just breathtaking, like it's beautiful, and they somehow, you start off and you're like, this game looks amazing, and then it just looks better and better as you play it. They just show so many awesome visuals in this game, and the music. Oh my god, I was bumping the soundtrack. I had this, like, I was playing the game, and then my partner came into the room and was like, that music's good, turn it up, like it's so good. Like we turned that music up even more because like it's just like the most awesome synth music you've ever heard. Just really bombastic, very vector wave, 80s vibes. Sometimes you get a little bit of metal and electric guitars come in. It's like a symphony of the eyes and the ears. Like it's just a really fun game to play from that perspective. The presentation is just, I don't know, it's just immaculate. It's amazing. It's just a great package. So this game, after I finished the roll credits, the one game that reminds me of the most of, and Steve's going to like this, is Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Let's go.
Yeah. So there are 3 elements to the game. Okay, obviously he plays the skater guy. The controls are different than most skating games. I guess I can get into that, and then we can talk about the 3 different gameplay like levels and challenges that you got in this game. The controls are kind of like behind the character, like the EA skate games. That's why I brought those up. But they don't use the right stick to flip trick and to do like the grab tricks and stuff. It has its own unique control system where X, you kind of do the kick to get the momentum of the skateboard, and then circle is your ollie button, and then the circle plus like a trigger or a bumper is going to do your flip tricks or your grab tricks. So you're also going to try to get grinds and lines, and it's very much like Skate as well, where you have to just pop your ollie and land on the actual rails to get your grinds going. There's no hit triangle and you're magnetized to it like Tony Hawk. It's more leaning on that simulation style, even though the art style is so like, ethereal and kind of crazy and out there. So it really feels like you're playing, like you're skating. Like it's hard too. It's a little challenging at first to get your footing in this game. Pun intended, I guess. There are 3 different types of levels. So the main thing you're going to be doing is you're kind of like going down corridors, avoiding elements and like objects in the scenery and things like that to get to the next door. And then you're going to solve little minor puzzles in those areas as you're going through them. Usually each of those levels will have like 6 to 10 areas you got to kind of like go to the end and get to the portal. You spawn back. It's kind of like Downhill Domination or something like that. Or what's that? Is that the Tony Hawk one where you're racing downhill? Downhill Jam. Something like that, where you're trying to keep the momentum and go down into an area. And then once you get to certain like story elements, we'll talk about the story a little bit in a minute, you have little zones or hubs that have little challenges and little characters you can speak to in the area, or just skate around and have fun and just kind of practice the moves that you just learned. Because as you go through those like areas and get to those little hub zones, there's like these slabs which will have like different moves that you can unlock. So you start off with just the ollie, then you get like a pop shove it, then you get a kick flip, and then eventually you learn how to grind and manual and revert, all that stuff that you expect. So in those zones, you also have a shop where you can go in there and you collect like gems, and you can change your deck out and, decorate it, change the trucks and the wheels. You also collect stickers around that you could put on the bottom of the board. All this weathers and gets like screwed up as you play, which is pretty fun too, because you decorate it really nice and then have a really, an hour-long session going through different levels, and you look at your bottom of your board and it's just scraped up from all the grinding and tricks that you've been doing. Let's see. And then the third part is the boss fights. And boss fights in a skating game, kind of weird. So sick. I'm not going to spoil too much of past the first area here, because I think it's best to kind of experience this as, a big package. But the main concept is you're eating a moon at the end of this. You're a demon that has to consume the moon because the devil told you to, and if you do so, he will free you from the underworld or hell, which is this gorgeous, like, spiky, crazy looking, like I said, amazing looking hell. And the boss fights are giant moons that kind of have different areas. You have like an arena, and the moon will do different patterns, and you basically have to do tricks and then hit square to stomp on PlayStation, or I guess Y or X on other consoles, and hit square to stomp at the end of your trick. So you do a bunch of combos, build your combo up, but you have to stomp inside of like the moon's like shine or glare, and and then once you stomp that, a health bar will go down. That's at the top of the screen. Kind of have to try to avoid the obstacles, and then there's usually like a time limit of 3 to 5 minutes or so to defeat that boss. So pretty much the way the game works, you do an area where you do the downhill jam part, you got the open world part, and when you unlock every single one of those and do a couple more of those downhill jam things, you'll do the boss fight, and then you go to the next area. And as you're doing these zones and things, like there's this like long form poem that will be kind of revealed to you, and then at the end of each chapter it shows you the poem and it tells the story. And it's a beautiful story, and it's very, very like, I'll say for the story, it's kind of like open to interpretation. To me, it kind of seems like it's more about individualism, what it means to be a being or a person, trying to accept things in the world or accept your lot in life or something like that. But it's very well told, and it's very beautiful, and it just adds to the package. I think the story is one of those ones where somebody who's smarter than me is going to have an essay on YouTube in a couple of months that's like breaking it down and telling the story, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Thank you for figuring that out for me, So yeah. Any comments or questions so far for the game?
My big question, and maybe you're going to get into this, but is it a game that you would be able to recommend to someone who has not played a skateboarding game before, or maybe bounced off of them in the past?
I'll say that's a little hard to tell because I grew up with them, so it's hard for me to be like, okay, I just separate myself from them. But I do have an example. John Gaming the Wild made a video where he said he doesn't really like skateboarding games, and he loved this game. So,
cool.
That could be like a good example of somebody who did that. I will say the controls are going to be the one thing that turned people off on this game, I think, at first. But it's one of those where you just stick with it, and you start to get that flow state, which, if you played a lot of skateboarding games, or if you've even played any, is that flow state when you get into it and you're kind of just like free flowing through the stage, and you can see the hazards coming a mile away, you feel like, and you're just locked in. It really does that feeling. But if you crash in this game, you shatter. Like it's it's basically the fisheye lens is following you, and if you crash, it like just flings off into the distance and you shatter into a million pieces. So it really feels horrible when you crash. But I think that's part of like the themes of the game or whatever. But the actual like gameplay, when you get in that flow state and you're going down the areas and the music's pumping and all this amazing visual and everything's happening around you, it's like, I think anybody can enjoy it, even if they're not like super into skateboarding games.
You've been talking about flow state. I have two questions that both feed into flow state. One is, how tough of a game is it? Like, are you having to retry parts over and over and over again, or is it pretty chill?
For me, and probably for you, because we're both like pretty used to skateboarding games, It wasn't that bad. I beat it in about 5 hours or so, like maybe like 5 hours lingering on pause screen for 45 minutes or something. So it says 6 hours on my PlayStation, but I don't think it took quite that long. But it had a couple of like those boss fights where there's a time thing. There's usually like some kind of trick to those boss fights that might take a little bit of trial and error to figure out. And then the timer's going down while you're figuring it out. So usually it's like, well, I guess I'll just try it again. And then they'll just spawn you in right there and you try it again. If you're doing like the downhill jam part, you just start at the same portal. You're not starting the entire string again. So it's like it has the failure moments, but it's addictive enough to where you're like, well, I'll just pick it back up. We'll get through this area because it's not going to push you back like to the beginning of the game or even the chapter or anything like that. It's just like you're spawning in that same room. Try it again. Good luck. Enjoy the music. Enjoy the vibes.
All right, sweet. And then I see like in the trailers and stuff a moderate amount of like talking and cutscenes, which makes me worried because I want to skate. I don't want to talk in a skateboarding game. So how like narrative heavy is it? Do they interrupt you a lot to talk?
No. So the 90% of it, there are like cutscenes between the chapters. Like there's like to get you to the next zone and next area. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much of what happened. I feel like even if I did spoil it, you'd still just raise your eyebrow like, what are you talking about? But
Sure.
Still, I'll leave it vague. But the people you're seeing like in the cutscenes are all in that open world zone. So each of the chapters has kind of its own open world zone, and there'll be like a little skeleton dude sitting there. You talk to him and be like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, my name's Eddie. I'm here to vibe. I eat vibes. He'll say something weird like that, 2 or 3 sentences, and then you're out. Or it might be a pigeon at a computer telling you to go find letters for his document. And if you're finding letters in a skateboarding game, you know what that entails. So
there's 5 of them. Yeah.
There's 5 of them. So yeah, go find them. So it has a little bit of that cheekiness. And I will say, I'm not going to spoil much more about the story, but let's just say there's some things about game design that's in this as well. There's a little commentary on that. So just that's in this game and just creation in general. So it's unique. It's really cool game. Like it's so hard to nail down exactly what it is. If you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's a skateboarding game, but really it's kind of like an experience too, even though the gameplay itself is fun. Yeah. It would do well in a VR setting where you could see this in VR all around you, because like it just has that visual like in auditory, just like it just feels so good to play, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say based on the trailer that I've been watching cycle and what you're saying, it sounds like Sam did a thing that is actually pretty difficult to do, which is he stuck the landing. And I don't mean that to be like a skateboarding pun, but a lot of times you see a game like this and you see like a little snippet of it in like a trailer or in like a montage or something, and you're like, holy God, that game looks so freaking cool. Mm-hmm. And then the game eventually comes out and you kind of realize like, in motion or in practice, maybe it doesn't have quite the same like pizzazz as that first impression did. But then other times you get games like a Cuphead or something where like you see 2 seconds of it, you're like, tell me more, and then you play Cuphead and it always looks that good the whole time. And I've been watching this freaking trailer on loop now for 20 minutes while we've been talking, and it still looks cool as hell to me. Yeah. So it seems like they really like made it work in motion, which is really impressive.
Yeah. It's something, man. This is catnip for us. Like for skateboarding game fans, this is like, dude, it's one of those games where I finish the credits and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to play it again right now, but I'm definitely going to be playing this again at some point. You know what I mean? It's one of those like, I'm just feeling some skate story. Let's play through this again. I got an evening. Let's play it, or whatever. It has that energy. It has that replayability factor because it's fun to play and fun to just be in the world. And like it has a nice sense of humor too. Like you said, those guys are sitting around. They're always saying something just out there. So I laughed out loud at some of these characters because they're so ridiculous. Just like a walking trash bag you talk to. He's talked about how much of a trash human he is. Stuff like it's a little sarcastic humor, a little silly, but I think it adds to everything else. I do think that this game is make or break for people if they don't like the controls. And I will say the boss fights, I mean, by the time you get to the end of the game, you've done a few of them, probably 5 or 6. I forget the exact count. I'll say those are probably the part where it's not as polished as the rest of the game. Like, I feel like the open world is really fun to skate around. There's a lot of cool areas to explore and grind and, you know, kick flip over, all that stuff. And then like those like flowing stages that go portal to portal are really well done. But when you get to the boss fights, it's like usually like, okay, here's a Coliseum. There might be a couple of new hazards. Beat the boss again, you know, and it's very similar to the last time. I feel like that is probably my main negative part to the game. But it's almost nitpicky at this point because those usually are like 3-minute challenges and then you're on your way to the next chapter, you know. So
cool.
Yeah, this is a banger, guys. Any questions before I put it on the quest log today?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nothing more for me.
Yeah, I feel like I keep putting games on the main quest, but this is another main quest, guys. Like, this could have easily been a side quest, though, if he, like you said, if he didn't stick the landing, like, he could have easily just, you know, just put out a game that was all those downhill jam stages over and over again for 2 hours, and that would have been the game. But I feel like he wanted to put a little bit more into it and give it kind of like an ethos and personality, and like have a very very flowery and well written story, I would say. Even though it's kind of hard to parse what it all means, I do like the story in this. I think it actually kind of nails the landing on that too. So, just a really great game. Just what a wild time to release a game this good. It's like December, randomly in December. This game would have gotten more conversation if it like released. Like, maybe just hold it to like February, man. So it's like early in next year, you know. That's my opinion. So that it has a chance to get talked about more because it needs to be. It's a great game.
There was like a secret meeting of the indies where some like timeshare salesman sold them all a slot in December. And they were like,
right?
You all got to release your game early December this year, and I do not understand why, but so it be. Hell yeah, you got me excited. You got me excited for that.
Yeah, if someone's into skateboarding games, play this, like, straight up. Just give it like 30 minutes to like kind of feel how it plays. Like I said, it's unique. But once you get into that, you get the movement down and everything, you're just gonna be eating it up. It's amazing. I played this in like 2 sessions. Like, I was just like, the first night I didn't want to stop, but I had to. It was like 1 a.m. and I'm like, all right, I'll play it tomorrow. If I keep playing, it's gonna be 4 o'clock, and I'm gonna be really mad at myself at work tomorrow. You know, type of game. So I had to put it down and finish it the next day. But just that comment, you know, that it's good enough to get me like addicted and want to see how it ends and stuff. So,
thank you,
banger.
Awesome.
My final comment on it, man, is that not the most generic title ever? Like, truly, other than knowing it's about skating. I don't think I would. I was honestly imagining when I first heard about it that it was like a golf story type game, and it could not be further from that. You know, so.
Yeah. The
only way they could make it more generic is to call it skate game.
Skate game. Just skateboard.
The genre tags: indie, adventure, action, sports, RPG, skateboarding, surreal, atmospheric, skating, demons, and dark. They sneak that in there at the end, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
The only time that combination of tags has ever been used.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Oh, all right, fellas. Well, I'll close this out today. And speaking of banger indies that released in early December for some reason, I am bringing to you today one that you probably already guessed because I streamed it, but we're going with Rythm Doctor.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yes. So, Rythm Doctor is a straight-up rhythm game, but there's a lot more to it than that, which we'll talk about. It's developed by a studio named Seventh Beat Game, which is quite funny because that is the main mechanic of this game. So clearly they named their studio after this game. And it seems to be published by Indie Nova and also a little bit self-published. And right now it's available on PC. It came out the 6th of December, but it has apparently been in early access for several years. So this is its like proper full release. But I think early access started back as far as like 2021 for this game.
This game has been out a week, and it has 7,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews because obviously it's been on Steam for years and years. But that's just so funny.
Yes, and I am not surprised that there's so many people that are enthusiastic about this game for reasons that we'll talk about. But as we always do with a rhythm game, it's important that I start you with the story setup. You need to know the narrative of your rhythm game before you can really get into it. Right? It's like your skateboarding game. You know, if I'm not hearing dialogue, what am I even doing here? But in Rhythm Doctor, you are actually a doctor. Technically, you're an intern in a hospital that has developed this like fancy new rhythm treatment, like musical treatment to treat heart abnormalities in patients. And it pretty much like uses that as a broad brush. So when they say heart abnormalities, it could be anything from like, you know, irregular heartbeats, tachycardia, a broken heart, you know, nervousness, anything that would adjust your heart rate basically or change the rhythm of your heartbeat is fair play. And the idea is that they do this kind of like timing button rhythm-based injection of drugs / music into the patient's heart, and it kind of calms their nerves and gets them going. So you play as this intern, but you actually are the intern in the game. Like you, the person at the keyboard, are the intern, and they talk to like the screen as if they're talking to you. And the idea is that you're remote and performing this procedure remotely from the comfort of your own home. We're working from home in this one. And so as a result of that, you get to know a couple of the main like doctor characters very well because they're kind of the ones, they're like your residents, you know, they're guiding you around the hospital. They're introducing you to patients. They're asking you to cover what they think will be easier patients while they go deal with other stuff. And then, of course, you get to know a little more of the inner workings of their heart and of their minds as you go along. And the conditions that you're treating patients for, like I said, they start out relatively simple, just like people that are nervous or like people that have a crush on each other but haven't had the opportunity to say it to one another. And then it does get like more medical as the game goes on too. It's a pretty interesting mix. And characters will reoccur across different stages, so you actually kind of get to know the patients in the game a little bit, which is pretty interesting. But that's all you need to know for story because we're here for the rhythm gaming. And this is like the most straightforward rhythm game that you could get. It is a single button press, and you are always pressing the button at the exact same time. Even the trailer is like very upfront about it. You watch a trailer for this game, and the narrator is like, you will only press one button in this game the entire game. And it's true. For me, it was spacebar. They seem to want you to do spacebar. And all you're going to be doing across the entirety of Rhythm Doctor is pressing spacebar at the right time. So that sounds boring, right? Who wants to do that? Where's the game? Well, would you believe that they complicate the situation a little bit for you as you go along? It is true. So, I mean, the first and kind of most obvious comparison, I think, for a lot of people will be Rhythm Heaven. If anybody's played Rhythm Heaven Fever, any of those, it has a little bit of that energy in like you're pressing a button in time to like some visuals that are happening. And importantly, like Rhythm Heaven, this is the type of game that you kind of get into a flow state and you start like feeling the beat more than like visually tracking where you need to press something.
It's for people who haven't played Rhythm Heaven, for people who aren't super rhythm game people, I suppose. It reminds me a little bit of like, what if WarioWare was a rhythm game? Like it's very
similar.
It's like got these animations that come on screen that are very pixel sprite based, and it's like a mini game. Every single one of them is like a little mini game, but they're rhythm. It's a rhythm mini game. So
yeah, Exactly. So the main setup of the game, why the studio's name is 7th Beat Games, is that you are always pressing your button, spacebar in this case, on the 7th beat of a measure of music. And so at the start of the game, that is very straightforward, where they'll be playing like a song and it'll go like press, and you press it at exactly at that time. And there's music that goes along with that, and then it also has this kind of like heartbeat graph that moves along a line and then goes into a little yellow area when you need to press the button. You need to press it with some pretty specific timing. It's not as harsh as some rhythm games I've played, but like it seems like, I didn't get an exact read, but it seems like you have a window of maybe like 100, 150 milliseconds on either end to press it. So like, we're talking about like maybe a little more than that. So somewhere between like a tenth and a quarter of a second window to successfully press it. Now you can press it slightly early or slightly late, and you get like a little bit punished for it, but it'll still count it. But that is the general timing that you're trying to hit. And so the game has a lot of the typical rhythm mechanics for rhythm game people that you'd expect to see. So, it starts very straightforward. You press it on the 7th beat, and then they'll add in like swings, and so it's got a little bit of like a jauntier energy to when you're pressing it. They'll add in hold notes, freeze notes, rests where you're supposed to skip pressing the button, all sorts of different layers that they add on top of it to keep that interesting. And usually different characters, different patients that you're working on will kind of focus around one. So you're like, oh, I'm talking to this miner, he's kind of the hold guy, or I'm talking to this baseball player who's kind of thrown out his shoulder, he's like the freeze arrow guy. But then they layer stuff on top of each other at the same time too. So it's not all just strictly one-to-one, one patient shows you one mechanic. As you're like, doing the rhythm game thing, pressing the button in time to the music, keeping up, you have this little heart symbol that is on the screen at all times, that the more notes that you either miss or get a bad timing on, it'll start to like crack and break apart. Mm-hmm. If you do too poor on a song, it like cracks open and a little chick comes out, a little bird for some reason.
Okay.
I don't really know. I don't know why. It's just what they chose. And then at the end of the song, you get graded as you would expect in a rhythm game. It's on a like D to S plus rank scale, and you have to seemingly get into the B ranks or above to pass any given song. If you get C or below, they force you to replay the song until you can successfully get a B rank or higher, which for some will, if you're experienced with rhythm games, I'll say, you'll get through most of the game no problem, but you'll probably get hung up on a couple of levels. If you're not used to rhythm games, this would be a good one to like really learn timing and rhythm on. But I do think that you'll have to replay songs more often, because some of them can get pretty hectic and like visually overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil like a lot of the cool stuff that happens in this game, but there was one specific part that's while I was watching Steve's stream where the game like literally changes everything about it, and things. I will say that it's hard to keep track of where this screen is or whatever. Like, just weird stuff happens. So this game does things that is like extremely unique. It does a lot of very unique things that you would not think. Just looking at screenshots will never tell you the story of what this game is. So,
no, I will say, without giving too much away, I will say that when you start up the game, I didn't pay that close of attention to it when I initially was playing it. But when you start up the game and you're in the settings, there's like a streamer options in the game. Oh. And the game says, we suggest that in OBS that or whatever application you're using, that you do a full monitor capture, not a game application capture. We suggest you just capture the monitor that the game is on, yes, and not the game itself. And I ignored them, and then halfway through my stream I was like, oh, and I literally changed my layout in real time, because there's some very fun stuff that
Yes.
happens. I will say my three-way Venn diagram for this game is that it is like the gameplay of Rhythm Heaven, kind of the energy and like audaciousness and visual flair of like an Undertale, and then like a little bit of like horror game like sanity mechanics, like a little like Eternal Darkness or like Pony Island or something. Like the game is aware that it is a game, and it, more than any other game I have ever played, is like using every tool in its toolbox to maximize the intensity of the visuals as you're playing through. It is extremely cool, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, is it kind of I missed your stream. Sorry, but no. Is it like kind of where you're in Vampire Survivors, or like one of those games where you have all the upgrades and it's just visual noise? Is it like that, or is it? Oh, you don't want to spoil it, do you? Or do you don't want to spoil it?
I feel like I should just give people a spoiler warning and explain it to you so you understand a little bit, because it is cool as hell, and the game does more than this. But I will say, if you're interested in rhythm games, I mean, you can keep listening to me talk. You can jump ahead like 2 minutes; it'll be fine. I'll give you time to leave. I know you're driving right now, so you're like scrambling to find your phone in the center console. It's okay. Jump ahead a couple minutes. I won't spoil anything else about what it does. But so the first boss, Josh, that like really caught me off guard is I was playing the game in full screen. The game itself windows itself into windowed mode. And then as you're playing the song, it's like stretching and changing sizes, and it's like moving and like bouncing around the screen in time to the music. So like the like beat would drop and the window would literally drop like below my Windows taskbar off screen and not reappear until I successfully hit the button at the right time, and then it would pop back up. And it would be like,
wow, that's crazy.
Like shaking and vibrating all over. It would like be racing across the monitor from left to right over and over and over again. Like, it was full on like manipulating my PC in time to the rhythm.
So you would say this is played on a PC, not like Steam Deck or something type of game, for sure, then, if it does that.
Yes, it's 100% sit at a computer and play it on a PC. I don't even know that could reasonably get a console port. I mean, we're kind of in like...
It says verified on Steam Deck, so I'm like, I don't know.
There'd be ways to do it.
Yeah.
But we're in like one-shot territory.
That's what I was going to say. It's like one shot where if, like Steve did for Second Opinion, played one shot on PlayStation. Yeah. And I think if that's the way you want to experience it, then go ahead. But there are games out there where it's like, no, it's a select handful, but there are specific ones. Doki Doki Literature Club is another one where you should play on PC. It makes sense because it interacts with things that you're used to interacting with all the time in real time versus I don't really care. Like, it gives you like a weird, like simulated PC background on PlayStation. It's just not as good. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's definitely a compromise that they made, and it's still, I got the idea, but it would have been better on PC. But yes, 100% play this game on a PC. Like sitting there staring at your monitor, and you will have a great time. And they do like other, I don't want to like minimize them because they're really cool like in context of the game, but they do other like tricks and gimmicks too, some of which were on stream, but also I finished the last like chapter and a half off stream, and they do some other stuff, especially in like the final couple of songs that were like even remixing and doing something different with the idea that I just talked about. So it's just like a game absolutely bursting with creativity in a way that I've like never seen a game do, especially not in this genre. There's other games that have done some like shared some similar ideas like we mentioned, but usually that's more to mess with you. This is more to like enhance the experience and to teach you to play on rhythm.
Yeah.
Importantly. Like, the game will often tell you, like, keep the beat, keep the rhythm. Don't pay too close attention to the visuals. The visuals are not here to aid you in your quest to keep the rhythm. The visuals are here to, like, be a really fun visualizer, basically. Mm-hmm. But, like, listen to the music, man. Pay attention to the song, because that's where the rhythm's going to come from. And that's doubly true when the game starts adding on different modifiers, like I mentioned, like freezes and holds, that have little like sound effects that cue them, like little buzzing sounds or something like that. But they'll also later in the game start having levels that have multiple patients at the same time, and they'll have their own rhythm and their own timing that you need to be pressing the button on. And so like visually, if you're trying to look at like 3 different characters at once and like find like where it's like, imagine looking at like 3 different Guitar Hero tracks at the same time and trying to figure out like when to press the strum bars. You're looking left and right, like your brain will just get ripped in half. You have to enter that flow state and just like feel the music and like intuit where to tap. And they do a really good job with the music, the sound effects, and some indicators in the visuals that will like guide you in the right direction. So you just feel cool playing the game. Like you just feel. You finish a song and you're like, that was so sick, man. I'm so good I'm so great.
Yeah.
Like,
I just for this year I got my Mini last Christmas, and I had GBA ROMs I threw on there, and there was a game on there, Rhythm Tengoku, which is original Rhythm Heaven, and I was like, you know what? I played what was that game, Super 56 or something like that, which is kind of like the same like this, but like Adult Swim basically, one button and doing rhythm games. So I got into that game and I was trying to follow like the prompts on the actual screen, like the button presses, but then I kind of put a headphone in and put it in my ears, and then I was like actually like listening to the music and getting on beat, and then that's where that flow state comes in. So ever since I played that game, I got completely addicted to that. I just played every stage, tried to get the best score in all of them, and loved it. Now all I can think about is getting more of that style of game in me. So I feel like this is just like just screaming at me to play.
This would be a good one for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I think you would really like this one, Josh. Yes, this is a great. This is a difficult, but in a lot of ways a great introduction to rhythm games, because there's a lot of visual flair, and mechanically, like, there's no learning process. You play Guitar Hero, you play Dance Dance Revolution. There's a little bit of like choppiness that you have to go through before the act of interfacing with whatever the control scheme is becomes second nature, because you need the act of pressing the buttons to be second nature before you can really get good at the rhythm aspect of a rhythm game. But like, this is pressing the space bar, man. You already are good at pressing the space bar. You do it, I would bet, every day of your life you press the space bar at some point.
To me, this game is like maybe the perfect example of easy to play, difficult to master. Like it's one button. It ain't going to be hard. It's just, in terms of playing it, it's going to be very hard to do extremely well, or even well at all, right? So,
yes, and there's a lot of options both for like rhythm game super veterans and rhythm game noobs. Like the early access period clearly benefited them, because if you go into the options menu, you have so much control over like. You can open the timing windows if you want to. You can make them harder. You can add in all the statistics that a rhythm game person like me would want, where I want to see like on each button press how many milliseconds off from like the true center was I, so I know, am I drifting by 20 milliseconds over the course of a song that I need to correct. You can also like change every indicator sound. You can control every different aspect of the audio, music, sound effects, dialogue, characters, indicator sound effects. Just so many little ways to like basically tune the game to whatever difficulty level you want it to be at, that you'll always have fun with it. Like there's no way you'd get hard stopped. It's very clearly made by like passionate rhythm game people, which is clear to see. So yeah, we're talking about a rhythm game for however long now, and I haven't mentioned how the music itself is, which seems like a relevant detail. It's pretty damn good. A lot of it seems to be original music, and it's basically every version of electronic music you could ask for. So like ranging from like Genesis Mega Drive style, like crunchy 16-bit bass, all the way up to like modern dubstep. There's kind of like synthy, melodic songs. There's basically every genre of electronic in there. There's actually a surprising number of original, like, vocal songs. Like, they actually sing the music in a lot of the songs in this game. Seems to be a couple of different people. And what's really cool is that it's obviously sourced from different places or from different artists. So when you're choosing a song, it always shows you who the composer of that song is, and it'll show you, like, here's one social that I assume the artist selected to go see them. So it'll be like music by Kira Wave, and it'll have a little Instagram icon, so you know, like, I can go to Kira Wave on Instagram and check them out, or I can go to them on X, the Everything app, and check them out, or whatever it might be. So that's really nice. But yeah, it is very catchy music, which is, I mean, that's like table stakes. It has to be, but it's all toe tappy, like head bangy type songs, because the whole act of playing it is like getting into that head bangy rhythm and pressing the button at the times that feel appropriate. So really good music. I've already listened to it several times outside of the game. The game actually, off of the main menu, this is the first time I've ever seen a game do this. Off the main menu, one of the options is go to the OST on YouTube.
Oh, sick.
Like, nice.
It just links you right there. And kind of in keeping with the like stealth popularity of this game, a lot of the songs on YouTube have like over 1 million plays, because this game has like a mega committed, super passionate fan base.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the music is great. The visuals are all incredible. Even like the base game visuals, which are pixel art. I think several people in my chat compared it to the Moon, which is apt. I mean, it's like doctors in a pixel environment, so that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I was going to actually say, and Josh can confirm or deny this, but I feel like the backgrounds themselves, like the foreground stuff, the rhythm game stuff is very pixel art, right? Like it's not. Mm-hmm. But the backgrounds they're also like pixel arty, but very detailed pixel art. And it reminds me of A Space for the Unbound, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like very high end type. It's still flat, pixelated, but very, very pretty. So
yeah, and every song that you're playing has kind of like a little narrative within itself. So you get a ton of like really gorgeous pixel art backgrounds for various places. And it's like, it's not afraid to be like larger than life, so it's not like sticking to the environment you're in. So sometimes suddenly you're in outer space, and sometimes you're in a coffee shop, and just every little which way that you can imagine, it mixes it up. So it looks great. It definitely has a ton of replay value. I played it for 4 hours, but I beat the game, but I feel like I basically barely scratched the surface. Obviously, in a rhythm game, a big part of it is going to be score chasing and like trying to improve your score. But also, every song in the game, of which there's like 30 or so, has an alternate chart that you can play. So they call it night mode. So you basically can play like an alt version of the song, which is an entirely different chart itself, and often at least a remix, but also often just an entirely different song by that same artist. And all of that is entirely optional. So it's basically like double the content in that, like just hiding in plain sight.
That's awesome.
And then on top of that, there are like 5 or 6 songs that are crossovers with other indie games. Most of them I didn't recognize, but Unbeatable, the game that just came out, that has a crossover
another rhythm
song
game that just came out.
Yep. And then on top of that, there's also Steam Workshop support, and so people can do whatever fan charts of songs that they want. And why I was going to say this is a game for you, Josh, in particular, is one, I feel like this entire game is kind of like Zoomer coded. Like it's got like Zoomer energy, and nice. I feel like of everyone I know, you've got the Zoomer spirit in your heart.
I do.
The very first song I found on the Steam Workshop, one of the like top 3 most popular available to download fan songs, was a fan lyric resub of a Kingdom Hearts song.
Oh,
So
let's go. It's
There you
made
go,
for me.
buddy.
I'm ready.
get in there.
I would,
But yes.
you guys the audience probably heard me sigh a couple times. It's not. I wasn't sighing because Steve, what he was saying was bad or anything. I'm sighing because I feel like I need to get this in somehow now. Like it just seems so. Yeah, there's so many games.
Dude, it's good as hell, man. It's so freaking good. Yes, I do feel like this is a game for Zoomers. I get the energy like I'm a little too old to be playing it. Like, how could I put this? This is true of Undertale and especially Deltarune, where you're like, the true fan base for this game is 17, and I'm 37, and I know that. But I'm still going to enjoy the game. It's just like, I'll enjoy the band, but maybe I won't go to the concert. Maybe I'll let the kids go to the concert. But I'll still listen to the music in the comfort of my home. Has a little bit of that energy where I'm like, a youth with more energy than me is having a great time with this game right now. Like they are all in.
You don't want to Steve Buscemi with the skateboard. How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so weird to say this for a rhythm game, but the game has heart, man. Like it's just, you can like really feel like the passion and the narrative itself, which normally I would be like a hard no on a narrative in a rhythm game. Like the narrative, like genuinely goes some places and like they do some stuff. And of course you can skip it all if you don't want to listen to any of it. So it is entirely optional, but like because there are patients and characters associated with the songs and they reoccur, like you almost get like little mini storylines that you're following throughout multiple songs as characters go through. Or every now and again you'll like solve a patient's problem and then 3 hours later they'll be like, oh, they're like struggling with that same thing again in a different context, go back and help them out again. So it's really quite well done from a narrative perspective too, which is just goofy to say, but I think that's most of what we need to talk about with Rhythm Doctor. It rips, but what are the questions, boys?
So it took you about 4 hours, right? Oh, sorry, you said 4 hours. Do you think an average person who isn't a rhythm game fan would take longer, probably, just because of the actual skill involved? Because you play a rhythm game every day, right? You got your machine in your house, so it's like, basically, if they're maybe add 2 to 3 hours if it's new to you, pretty much. Yeah, I would say
yes. I would for sure say if like this is your first rhythm game or you've barely played any rhythm games, it'll probably take you more like 6 or 7 hours, assuming that you don't change any of those options to like tune the game to your comfort level. And I will say that especially the boss songs, which tend to be the hardest ones, those are the only songs in the game that have mid-song checkpoints. And the boss songs are the only songs in the game that are pass-fail. You don't require to get like that B+ or higher. So when the game is like at its most intense, it's also graciously at its most forgiving, which I think will keep people going with momentum forward. Sometimes what frustrates people in a rhythm game is, I think like a Guitar Hero game, you play 4.5 minutes into the Metallica song, and then you get to the solo that you can't play, and then you crash out and burn. Then you have to start the song over and play for 4.5 minutes to get one more shot at it. Here, they would basically checkpoint you right in front of the solo and give you and fill your health to full and let you go from there. So you'll be able to kind of work your way forward in most cases.
Awesome. It is. I don't have a question, but it is currently in a bundle with Melatonin. That's cool.
I saw that.
Dude, it is this year's Melatonin, man. And I was a big Melatonin champion too. Very different vibe, but similar idea for sure.
Also, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just one last thing. I see that it has co-op. Do you know what the co-op would be, or would it be in this game?
Yes, it's actually really cool. It will layer, like I said, some songs layer multiple characters that you're kind of managing at the same time. And it will assign different players different characters, and you'll be like pressing in like alternating rhythm to the P1. So I haven't actually played it myself, but I checked it out a little bit. And if you had another rhythm game person for sure, or just I guess someone that was interested in trying a rhythm game, it would be really satisfying to play this one multiplayer because it seems to be implemented quite well.
That's cool.
And you can do it on pretty much any song. So
Awesome.
yeah. So with that, we got to place it. It's a main quest, fellas. It's so good. It's like one of the best rhythm games I've played in years, and
God.
it is maybe the first rhythm game ever that I've played that I didn't get mad had a story. I'm almost always annoyed because I'm like, this is just getting in the way of the thing I want to do. But here, it weaves together quite well. So yeah, Rhythm Doctor, it rules. Absolutely a like stealth banger right at the end of the year. I'm sorry to add on to your December homework pile for anyone that's interested, but it's damn good. But play it on PC.
Okay, I'm gonna play this. I'm playing this. I gotta get it in by the podcast, so I'll be playing this. I'll at least have touched it, but I'll want to try to roll credits on it. So we'll see. You know what's crazy? This December had 3 of the Rhythm games that came out. Just like this one, Unbeatable, like we mentioned, and then another one just kind of randomly dropped, which is basically another Rhythm Heaven type game. It's called Bits and Bops. Yep. Did you see that one?
Yes, I think there's actually one of the crossovers. I mean, Unbeatable had a crossover. I think Bits and Bops also has a crossover in.
Yeah, and that one's like more like cartoony, like it looks like Looney Tunes or something, like maybe Flash animation, and like you do the beats similar to like there's like marching ants, and you hit the beat to the marching ants, or you have to clap, very Rhythm Heaven coded. So that's another one I was like, do I need to play this? This looks awesome too. And it came out 3 days after that one. So it's just I feel like that's how games are going to be. And we're going to continue saying that like going forward, like there's just going to be too many games all the time forever now. Right.
Yes.
Like at this rate. So yeah.
Yes. The category of here's the games I wish I had time for is just going to grow every year. So we'll be eating good until we die.
Yeah. Which it's a good problem to have, I guess,
Yep.
All right, we had 3 games brought to the quest log today. Easy Delivery Company, which was a nice, cozy, kind of creepy side quest here. And we got Skate Story, which was just a banger, just amazing visual and audio just experience for skating fans and non-skating fans alike. Little synopsis there. That's a main quest. And then we got Rhythm Doctor, which is just a wild and crazy rhythm game that is actually really well done, which has actually a good story, which... that's you don't hear that very often unless you're talking about that Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories game, because that just has the best story out there. Anyway, so Rhythm Doctor was a main quest. So, damn bangers, and these all 3 of these came out in the last few months. 2 of them like within the last week. Insane.
Yep. So cool.
All right, well that's gonna do it for our show today. We can do some plugs. The show can be found IndieQuestPod on Blue Sky, and you can send us emails at indiequestpod@gmail.com, and there's also a little link in the bottom thing down below, a little doobly-doo. Click that says text here. You can send us a text message, and that is anonymous. Just be nice. Send us anything you want, but if you don't want us to read your name, that's a good way to do it. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch and Blue Sky, almost messed it up again. Twitch and Blue Sky as Blinkoom. And our next episode is going to be
Game of the Year.
Our Game of the Year episode. If you want a little sneak preview, on Friday the 19th, I'll be doing my annual Game of the Year stream where you'll get to see me sort out what my favorite games of the year are. Spoilers, a lot of them are indie, so you'll get a pretty good idea of what my favorite indies are as well. So come hang out.
Oh, Seth, where can they
Seth, how about you, buddy? Didn't mean to leave you hanging there.
Yeah, honestly, I was daydreaming a little bit. I should have jumped in myself, but you can find me at Captain Drachma on Blue Sky, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. And if you want to get in that Discord, head over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, jump into the first tier, and come and chat with us. Josh, where can they find you?
Then you can find me at Josh Leslie on Blue Sky. And you can also find my other podcast, The Monthly Mishap, which is a movie and entertainment show. Chris and I on that next episode for our thing, we're going to do top 10 best things we watched from the year as kind of like a year-end superlative type thing for that show. So if you guys are in the mood for that, which obviously you probably are, go listen to that. And that's about movies. So maybe if you were like, hey, what good movies came out, or what good movies did you guys watch, go check that out. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for our show. Next episode's Game of the Year. I'll close this out today by reminding everybody to go into the description here and click that form. Take 3 to 5 minutes and tell us what your favorite indie game was, and what your favorite indie game that wasn't from this year that you played this year, and your favorite moments from Indie Quest. And we're just going to have a good time. Probably a good long Meaty Boy episode next time. That's going to come out on the end of the month here. And that'll be our Indie Quest Awards for 2025. So be on the lookout for that. Game of the Year season is upon us. It's the best time of the year. Kick back, relax, enjoy some indie games, and we'll see you guys on that episode. Bye.
See ya.
Peace.
Boy,